there is a group of people who are living the experience. Like, I am living this experience. I have tons of stories. I'm sharing them with you about what I've gone through and what we can do to make things better. I am the source. Like, I am
I
the
got
source.
the info.
Yeah. And then people will be like, no, sorry, no. But actually, there is this one lady, and she is African American, and she says that doesn't exist. She's the only one, though. There's one of her. There's just one. And sorry, the hundreds of you are delusional, crazy, wrong, and extremist. And like, but this one lady, she has her facts straight.
Are you good?
Yeah. I need to start
Do you have chapstick?
I need to start bringing my
Yeah, it's going.
good.
It's on the computer right now.
I don't think that does anything really.
No, it's
looks
technically
cool.
like it's like backup recording, to be honest, right now, but it's not the legit one.
Like, what does it even do?
You know.
Oh, watch this.
What?
Oh, you guys can't hear it.
What? Oh. No, do a different one. Did we clear them? Maybe we did. Are you hearing anything? No. Okay. We cleared them, I think.
Pre-record claps.
Oh, like the iCarly remote.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Do you hear music?
No.
Oh, me either.
Oh.
Oh, sorry.
What?
I heard like. Okay.
You know what I have stuck in my head?
What?
My mans. Thank you to
my
my mans. My mans. Thank you to my mans.
Is that
Literally
'cause-
over and over again in my head.
Is it because you keep looking at your hand and seeing the ring on your finger and you're like, my mans,
Thank you to my mans. My mans. Hey, Jordan.
Sis new like identity right
My
there.
little,
I love
yeah,
it.
apparently. Geez. Who would have thought 3 years,
Oh.
2.5 years ago, I would be like, yes, get me married.
Your ring is now fitting your finger.
It does fit my finger. I have it here. I'm not going to show you guys because too bad, so sad. You're going to have to look somewhere else.
We were joking before the episode. Jamie, our new intern, was like, at least the camera will face recognize the ring.
Oh my God, you turds.
We have Jamie and Josie here in the house, our new intern.
We'd say hi, guys, but there's no mic over there.
Yeah,
So
sorry.
sorry. You're going to
Say
just
hi,
have, you can do
yell
a
it.
little wave.
Yell it.
Hi.
Yeah, there it goes.
Wow.
We're getting them onboarded to support some stuff. It's going to be fun because I don't know. I just feel like we've learned so much over like 2.5 years to have help and know actually where to like put the help
Yes.
towards, you know what I mean? Like, and we can focus on the other things that like we can't split our time up with. It's very nice.
Love.
It's exciting and new ideas. Yeah.
What I was going to say before this episode was I always feel like I'm a good temperature in here besides my feet are freezing.
Yeah, but you're the girl that sleeps in socks. So
Yeah,
you
I
got
al-
something going on down there, sister.
It's because I'm low in iron. That's part of it.
I'm sorry.
Do you know you're also like, I forget, iron helps produce serotonin or serotonin helps produce iron. I don't know, one or the other, but did you know that?
No,
or
I did not.
dopamine.
No, I did not. But
I don't know.
I did not. know that.
Anyways, I got these warmies that you can put in the microwave. So you like warm up these slippers for like 2 minutes and you put them on your feet and you walk around, they're a little warm. And I fell asleep with him
You're
last
the guy?
night. And I was like and in the middle of the night I woke up and I was like, I have slippers under the covers.
You're probably just like Jordan. Jordan doesn't, I swear, when Jordan's inside, he doesn't pick his feet up. He's like,
Just shuffles.
I know. And I'm like, what are you doing? I'm trying to sleep. I'm trying to relax. Or like I'm on a work meeting and I just hear
Not
go
gonna
by.
lie.
And they're like, what was that? I'm like, nothing. My fiance walking by with his little shuffle feet.
Can you get an ick for a friend's fiance? Because that just gave me the ick.
You know what I mean though? Like
Yeah.
I remember, I'll never forget this. My step grandpa, he took me on a trip one time with my grandma and I was wearing flip flops and he turned around, he goes, pick up your feet. And
now
I was
you
like,
pick up your
sorry. And he
fucking
would
feet.
always yell at me if I was wearing flip flops and I skidded them across the floor. And so I just now, everybody that literally skids around in Target, I mean like everywhere, like I hear it and I'm like, no, Get ready to get yelled at.
I feel like we could banter for hours,
I know,
but I feel
sorry.
like we better save it for
You're right.
We're recording a few little intros today, as well as our next episode. So we're gonna introduce our guest for this episode, Dom Roberts.
She's amazing, you guys. This was another episode from LA, our LA trip, and we got to know Dom more. Like we went out to drinks with Dom after and got food, and she's probably one of the most amazing people. Like also just hilarious.
She had like these like mannerisms that I kind of took back, where she would go like, eh. She'd be like, she'd say something funny, and then she'd go and like stick her
She'd
tongue
go,
out. Do you know what I mean?
Yes, I
Oh
know
my God.
exactly what you're talking about.
So I heard of her, and we both like kind of put two and two together when she created these amazing like graphic designs on Instagram in 2020 that kind of like went very viral, and it was all around Black Lives Matter and George Floyd,
Yes.
right?
And we're in Minneapolis, if you guys don't know that already. And so we're around it. We were in it, living in it. And she did a really good job of like, you remember how everybody was posting black screens and had nothing else to post? They didn't know what to say, didn't know what to do. Dom was like the advocate. Would that be what it was called?
Activist.
Sorry, advocate, whatever.
And
Both, I guess. To like actually create content that people could say something versus just saying a black screen saying I'm on your side and I'm doing something about it.
We had such a good conversation. So we talked a little bit about, the cancel culture, Black Lives Matter, empathy. We also got into roommate situations. So we have like a lot of content in this episode.
It's
so I'm excited.
Good. Yeah. And she also talks about just too, like how you want to stand up for something, but then people, once you stop standing up, let's say you take a break and maybe on a Sunday you go get a coffee and you post a picture of a coffee and now all of a sudden everyone's pissed at you because you're not being an activist for like 30 minutes. It's like, what? How can you find a middle ground and be there and be an ally, you know?
She's also only 25 years old, which I think is crazy.
I know. And she has done like major brand deals, like major, like with body inclusivity and just being like, so like using her voice for good. I don't know. She's just an amazing human being.
In a gentle and kind way.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. You'll like this episode. Yeah. It's worth a listen. So
enjoy. Sid, tell us how you were dressing this morning with that little crop top you got on.
Okay, so if you can't see my shirt already, you should probably go check it out. But there is a little bit of hole in the center. It's got a twist on the top. The hole in the center is a great fit for a little boob like mine, okay? So there was a time when the shirt was twisted a little bit and we had to see what it looked like.
We were like walking the coffee shop. She goes, look at what I'm wearing underneath this.
A little peekaboo.
A little nipple straight out.
A little hey.
Hi, Dom.
Hi, guys. Hey, girls.
Hey, girls.
Hey, the girls are here.
The girlies, she's in orange right now.
I am.
She's slaying in her little orange little thing. What do we call it? A cardigan?
A little Cardi party.
Cardi B. Well, it's second day in LA, technically, you guys. We're really hyped to be here. And we got Dom Roberts. Who are you? We did a bio prior, but like, who are you? Tell the people.
Oh gosh.
I know, a little bit of a loaded question,
guys,
isn't it?
this is like, I actually just like sat down with someone to like rewrite my bio because it's so hard to like explain yourself because you're like, I don't know, I do a lot of things. Like I watch
Why do we
reality
have to
TV.
have a bio?
Yeah.
We don't have to have a bio. We don't need that.
Yeah.
Could be who we want to be that day.
Thank you. I'm like, how would I explain myself? I am a creative. I love having real, raw, uncomfortable conversations. I love creating safe spaces for people, making them feel warm. And also just sharing like my cute outfits and just showing people that health is at every size, whether that's through routines, sharing what I'm doing wellness wise, and just all the things.
You're amazing.
We are so excited to like get into this. Oh,
I'm like, hearts up.
Honestly, right when you walked in, I was like, oh, I love the energy already. Like, you can read people pretty quickly.
Yes.
And I felt that with you. So I'm excited to get into everything today. We listened to you on a few other episodes.
Yes.
You were on were you on Spence Waz? Yes. Spence Waz, Skinny Confidential.
Yes.
So I think we want to touch on some of those topics. And I think right off the bat, I'm curious about how, what inspired you in 2020 to really create the graphic designs. Cause that's like how I know you.
Yeah.
Is the graphic designs that kind of took Instagram by storm. And for our listeners who don't even know what I'm talking about, if you could kind of touch on that a little bit.
Oh, yeah. So during 2020, kind of that resurgence time for Black Lives Matter, I just realized a lot of people just didn't have the words. Like, I think a lot of people were wanting to be action oriented, but didn't know necessarily how to do that. And so I kind of wanted to provide education, information, and a mix of like action steps so people weren't feeling so helpless. And so I was just sharing like a lot of infographics on like, this is who you can call, this is what you can do, and also like here are some education points for like whether you want to send that to your family or whether you yourself like need to reflect on these things. And that's kind of like how I had my start online and that era.
Yeah. Did you have a graphic design background? Sorry.
Oh no. Well,
Because they were cute. Like
They were really,
catchy.
they were,
thanks.
yeah. And we're from Minneapolis, so
oh wow.
yeah, I lived in that area. I mean, we both did
George
when
Floyd.
everything was going on with George
Yeah.
Floyd. And your infographics or graphics, I should say, like helped say something. Like if not,
Yeah.
not nothing, because a lot of people were kind of like stuck in this like fear-based mentality. Like what gave you that confidence to like say something? Because a lot of people are afraid.
Yeah, I think I was in a place where I kind of was like in this like middle area. I grew up in a predominantly white neighborhood, and I grew up around a lot of white people, and I have a lot of white friends. And I also knew what my experience was and how my other Black friends were feeling, the Black community was feeling. And I kind of wanted to like merge that bridge because I was seeing so many people almost like you were saying, the fear of, oh, what if I say the wrong thing? How can I say this in a way that's not like offending people? Which I totally understand, right? Because like you don't want to do more harm than good. So that's kind of where I was like, okay, I am like heartbroken over this. I definitely cannot continue as normal, as I'm sure everyone was feeling at that time. And so that's what kind of inspired me to just create that graphic and just kind of create conversation online and inspire people to be like, wow, there's more we could be doing right now. And there's just a lot we could be saying.
Absolutely.
And yeah, I like how you touch on that, because that was what I was going to bring up to you is sometimes I want to say something, but I'm afraid like I'll misstep a little bit.
Yeah.
And like what happened to me is I tried to share something during the Black Lives Matter movement, and I, probably could have worded it differently. I don't know, like, because someone messaged me and was like, oh, you should say this instead. And it kind of like, I was then scared to share. So the only time I would ever share on my Instagram is when I was like reposting threads. And I still do that with like any type of, political stance that I have. I'm like, oh, I'll reshare this infographic or reshare. But I wish it could come from my words. So what do you say to the people that want to share and want to help and want to, be their own activists and these kind of things without misstepping?
Yeah, I think first is like, it's kind of like a 2-part thing.
We like 2 steps though.
Yeah,
'cause you can follow those easy.
I think like first is just intention, right?
Yeah.
Like I think always just clearing the air, like for me, because a lot of the things we share is opinion based, right? And when it comes to human rights, I think the most important thing is being vocal about like, hey, this is my stance, especially like having a platform. I'm not saying like, okay, now you need to host the Today Show and like start your CNN career. But also I do think it is important to just like remind people like, hey, I'm not going to be complacent on this topic. And so just being like, hey, I don't have all the information. I don't exactly know. I know how I feel and I know this isn't right. So I'm going to do my best to share that. It might not be perfect, but I just want to be very clear on like how I feel. And you could like go into your feelings. I think the misconception, and it has to be this beautiful, elaborate, like Cornell West, like thought-provoking,
Whole speech.
Yeah,
Poem of some
literally, that's like, that like literally cures racism in one day.
We're done.
Yeah,
Perfect.
and it's
Done.
just like world hunger's gone, everything's gone, cancer's cured, we're good, like the world's healed. And no, it doesn't have to be that, but I do think it is important that you just like say something. It's really not hard. And I think reposting is honestly the perfect way to really just like make your stance clear, because I don't have a background in just in every topic. Like I am not a newscaster. I'm not someone who's like doing deep diving research on all the different demographics and things happening in the world. And, we're just like, I'm just like a girl from America. Like, my Western viewpoint isn't as understanding as someone who's maybe like in the midst of it, or someone who grew up a certain way under a certain culture, Yep. And so I think that's just kind of where I've kind of made my place and my bed. And I've always encouraged like, other like the white community and like white people and white creators especially to just be like, just say something, you know? And yeah.
A lot of people feel like they're damned if they do, damned if they don't, right? And that's like the fear of all of it. And it's like if you're bold enough to have a platform of whatever it is, maybe it's apparel, maybe it's podcasts, like you should be bold enough or be willing to be bold enough for the people who don't have the platform to say something. But there's I want to talk about cancel culture with that in a second, but it's hard also, even as, and I'm admitting to this of like in the beginning, especially friends having opposite views. And like sometimes I agree with my friends or used to agree with them because I just didn't want to start something. But like that's the old said, I'm getting better, but I don't want to dig into something that like makes them think I'm an extremist. And like, what advice do you have for that situation?
Yeah, I think when it comes to certain things, like there really can't be a lot of compromise because at the end of the day, it's not a political thing. You know, we're not talking about even like right or left, even though I think the sad thing is these days, a lot of human rights, like we're talking about basic human rights, like basic human rights issues are falling into political categories. And so I think, you know, it's important to take a stand. And unfortunately, like one of the, you know, side effects and collateral damage of people's choices of posting like negative things or posting things because they didn't want to take the time to actually listen was losing friendships. And, you know, unfortunately, every action does have consequences.
Absolutely.
And one thing for me, and a standard that I've set for myself, a principle in my life, is I'm always going to stand up for marginalized communities. And if you can't understand that, yes, it is heartbreaking when a friendship of 5 years like does not work out because someone just is won't stand up for marginalized communities or is speaking down to people who need help. I'm like, unfortunately, like for me, and it's not even unfortunate. It's just, it's true. It's the
truth.
Yeah,
it's the fact. Like,
it's the hard, uncomfortable truth that I am not going to create comfort for someone just because they can't see where I'm coming from.
It's important to make that transition.
Yeah. Exactly. I was just going to say, having those uncomfortable conversations with those type of friends, for me, I've had those uncomfortable like dialogues and some of them I'm not friends with anymore because if it's just like political, if it's maybe taxes, if it's something like that and I don't talk about it. Yeah. But I've definitely had friendships fall out because of that.
Oh my God. Yeah. Absolutely. I've lost people, especially as we've grown. And I'm talking about the person that's listening too, that's being quiet because they're fearful of saying something. I mean, we like talk on a podcast, like we get quote unquote mini canceled all the time, right? Like just for having an opinion on something. But it's like, it's so important to just have that opinion. And you may not realize the impact that just like even 20 followers, like seeing that you're speaking out is going to make on a ripple effect of the world. Like truly.
Yeah. And sometimes it feels lonely to stand up for something, especially for me. Like that's how I felt. Like a lot of the friends, you know, who were watching my content and a lot of the people who were like seeing me post, they know me from, you know, just like my small suburb from where I'm from in Arizona. Like they're taking in all this information and being like, oh my gosh, like what? Like this is crazy. And there were people who were like friends who I hadn't talked to since high school who were like calling me being like, I just don't agree with you. Like, can we talk about this? Yeah. Like people reaching out, just being like, I don't think you're like seeing these sides. Like even, one of my best friends, I'm like really close with their family, and their great aunt like called me.
Oh my God.
And was like, do you know what the Black Lives Matter like movement actually is all about? And you know, because there's so much misinformation being spread on Facebook and everywhere, and there's no internet literacy, like, you know.
Yeah, weird, right? I'm like, oh my God, it happens for so many things.
Yes.
Like so many more things than we're even aware of.
Exactly. So just during that time, it was very uncomfortable because I'm like, oh my gosh, I love, like, we have so many incredible memories. Like I've spent so much time with your family. I love you guys as people, but with this, I can't compromise because.
What did she say? What did she think it was about?
She was like, they are like stealing money and they're Marxists and just all these things.
I heard these things too from people and I'm like.
And they like just, you know, that deep web
Yeah.
controversies of, or just conspiracy theories really of, oh my gosh, and Mark Zuckerberg and the children and all these things. And I'm like, oh my goodness. Like,
Well, people go ahead.
Do you think this has to do with, I mean, I forgot what it was called. It was a Netflix series, but it was like the polarization of two different sides and how we're all, that confirmation bias, where we're all just seeing what we want to see. So we have no idea the other side. So it's just like, we're getting more polarized.
Yeah. And I think what's so interesting too, I think is very interesting and honestly kind of comical, like I can't help but laugh, is there's a group of people, right? There's a group of people who are living the experience. Like, I am living this experience. I have tons of stories. I'm sharing them with you about what I've gone through and what we can do to make things better, right? Like, I am the source. Like, I got
the info.
Yeah. And then people will be like, no, sorry, no. But actually, there is this one lady, and she is African American, and she says that doesn't exist. And she's the only one, though. There's one of her. There's just one. And sorry, the hundreds of you are delusional, crazy, wrong, and extremist. And like, but this one lady, she has her facts straight. And like you're saying, it's confirmation bias, right? Like, it's similar to the one friend who wants to get back together with their ex.
Oh yeah.
And so they will go to the stranger on the street to find anyone who will agree with them, to be like, well, and see, I told you guys.
He's gonna grow out of it. This guy Tim, I saw at the coffee shop. He said he's gonna grow out of it.
He said he won't cheat on me again.
Well,
yes,
it's so freaking true. And the good news is some people do come around. Like, some people do see they're wrong and correct themselves. And you had talked on a podcast about cancel culture.
Yeah.
And you had a very interesting point of view on it. And I think people need to hear this. So I'd love you to just talk about that.
Yeah. I mean, like, yeah, I feel like the interesting thing with cancel culture is it's constantly developing, right? I think the most frustrating part with the idea of justice, right? Like, I think when you want to cancel someone, what we're really seeking is justice. We want fairness. We want accountability, most importantly. That's the main foundation of what cancel culture was built on. It's just like, we want you to be accountable for the wrong that you've done, right?
Mm-hmm.
The problem is, we do not live in a black and white society of like, these are the rules and these are the lines, but often we color outside of the lines all the time. What's a rule for someone cannot be applied to someone from a different situation. And since we live in this very gray world with very gray rules culturally, it's so hard to seek the correct accountability for each situation, you know? And the reality is, I think a lot more people are focused on wanting to be right, to be like, oh yeah, and see, yeah, you're a shit person, you're a horrible person. You
can't say that.
You can't say that, you can't do that. Which, yeah, of course, like, you can't say that and you can't do that. You're right. At the same time, I do think it is important to leave room for, so what are you going to do about it? You know, I think with accountability, it's twofold, right? Like, do you want accountability just so you could be self-righteous in the sense that, oh yeah, and I call this person out and they actually don't deserve anything. And I'm like, okay, well, hold on, because if we were to go and look back at my life, I'm sure there are plenty. Like, if we were to take like the hidden camera into my house when I was like 17 years old.
Oh God.
Yeah. Oh, I'm screwed, you know? And I'll be the first one to admit that. At the same time, there is this very real necessary need for accountability, because if you've been doing something wrong, it doesn't, you know, that behavior, that poor behavior does have to be corrected. Although I do think there has to be room for that to actually happen. And I think that's kind of the missing link that we're seeing, where on one end, the person who's being canceled is so I could only imagine like millions of people coming to me, or like hundreds and thousands of people to me coming to me being like, oh my gosh, like your life is done, your life is over. Like that would feel like the end of the world. And depending on what they've done, right?
Yep.
Like sometimes you're like, that is well deserved. Like you do deserve to lose a lot of opportunity until you've proven that you've changed.
You know who I think of in this situation? It's Matt and Rachel from The Bachelorette.
Oh,
or
yeah.
Bachelor, I guess it would have been, right? And they're still together. She took actionable steps forward, admitted to her wrong, like for what I've seen, straightened out, and they're together and they're really happy and they're making changes, differences, speaking out about things, and that's amazing. And she was canceled.
Yeah, she was big time canceled.
Yeah, and for good reason. But
Yeah.
but she did go forward and do things to grow.
Yeah, and I think the idea of forgiveness is very like counterculture. To be honest, like it is very countercultural to want to actually forgive someone because we're not taught that. We're just taught like, oh, sorry, like you've messed up and that's it. That's your story. That's your life story. And I just don't think that anyone should be held for their mistakes if they want to change, right? Because yeah, it's just we're never going to move forward as a society. And that is hard. It does take a position of giving someone the benefit of the doubt when they honestly don't deserve it. And I think the hard part is a lot of Black people at that time were like expected, and still to this day are expected to just be like forgiving, like right away, right off the bat. And I'm like, no. Mm-mm.
That's not how it works.
Yeah, no, sometimes it might take a year. It might take a couple years, to be honest. There's a lot of things to unpack, you know, especially depending on the degree of what they were doing and how they were saying things. And there will be consequences.
And you're not excusing behavior. That's like what I want you to like people to understand is like, it's not about, we're not excusing behavior. It's just a matter of giving people an opportunity to grow. That's basically what you're saying.
Exactly. And on the other end of that, like if you were in the wrong, I think there's nothing more cringy. And like in another life, I was joking with my friends, in another life I worked in like PR, like crisis management, because I'll just like see people's apologies and be like,
Tom Sandoval, sorry, had to say it. Sorry, had to say it.
I'm just like,
dude, what are you doing? Boy.
Yes, what is happening? I'm like, what if we did this instead?
You should reach out and be like, hey, we're gonna do a round 2 because you didn't really, you know.
Yeah, and so many people where I'm like, you wouldn't even be as polarizing as you are now if you had just fully went for it all the way. Because I feel like when you bear your shame and you're just like, this is what I did, I really messed up, I'm not holding back, this is every ounce of what I did wrong, no one can come for you anymore. It's out in the open. You were the first one to dog yourself out and be like, I'm in the wrong. I did this wrong. And most importantly, I want to be better.
Amen.
I will always have respect for someone like that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Damn.
I'm like, we couldn't wait to talk to you about this because also just being that we were there in everything going on and like just like the confusion and the want to step up. So like, I appreciate you diving into all that. Like truly, like it's so, I feel like I know what to do. Like I feel like I know where I need to go. I feel like I know the action steps and we're growing and it's constant.
It's a constant learning process for everyone. And I think admitting is awesome that we're all, we got to actively work on it, not just passively.
Hold people accountable.
That. Yeah.
Stay and speak up. It's even more of like an emphasis on us to speak up about things that we need to say things on. So I just really appreciate that.
Yeah. And honestly, like to be candid,
Ooh.
I was nervous because I was like, is this going to be uncomfortable? And I'm like, that's her podcast, on the Uncomfortable podcast. And I just love your energy and I appreciate you all like making sure that we're comfortable as possible to talk about something that sometimes people are afraid to chat about. So appreciate that. But speaking of your energy, you walked in with your little fashion outfit and you're confident, but I think sometimes people are saying, why is confidence brave? And I kind of want to talk about that. Do you agree with that statement? Do you disagree?
I'm like, well,
unpack, right?
Yeah.
Unpacking.
I think it's interesting because I do think like that's kind of the definition of confidence, is to be bold and brave. Like you're just owning it, right? Like you're confident. I'm the shit. I'm like, and like I love myself and all these things, right? Not in a like weird narcissistic way. It's just
No,
like,
I mean, also you can love yourself and not be a
you can
narcissist.
literally
You know
be
what I
like,
mean?
I'm the shit and my shit still stinks. Like,
Yeah.
you know, that vibe. But I do think I think one of my least favorite compliments, and I don't even think it's a compliment, I really think it's a backhanded compliment that I will, like, someone will comment on a post. It's just like, I want your confidence. And it'll be like me, like in a cute outfit. Be like, I want your confidence.
What are you implying?
Yeah. And also I'm like, okay, so if Bella Hadid, right, like posted a picture and you commented, I want your confidence.
Uh-huh.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't think that's what you would be saying to her. So are you saying like, you're like, wow, I want your confidence for existing as like a fat Black person? Like, you know? And to me, I'm just like, yeah, like what's that all about?
I mean, that's interesting to even think about that comment. Like, it's like, what are you implying with that?
Yeah.
And like, why is confidence so brave? Like, shouldn't we just be leaning into like being proud of like, I don't know who we are. I don't even know how to even
Or at least
put
like
that in words. Like,
why are some people confident, some
That's what
people
I'm-
aren't? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like
what?
I've never thought about it like that.
Yeah, like, and I think it's very interesting because there are moments to comment on someone's confidence, right? Like
Completely.
if they were like bold enough to went to their job and ask for a raise. Oh, I want your confidence. Like, that was so like inspiring. You went up to a guy at the bar and asked for his number. I want your confidence.
You
Like,
came to chat with us, and
Yes.
I love when you walked in. I was like, I'm liking this energy.
Yeah,
but
that's
like
tight.
being isn't
Yeah.
needing to have, you know what I mean?
yeah,
Like,
but like me wearing a pair of shorts at the beach isn't like, wow, you're so
Yeah.
brave. Like, you're literally braver than any U.S. Marine. Like, that's the energy they're giving.
how do you deal with that? Like that energy that like just is thrown at you for just existing. You know what I mean? It's just
Yeah.
like it's unfair that people even consider that saying things like this normal or consider that it's normal.
Yeah, I think for me, because I know where they're coming from, right? At least I see the mindset that it takes to like make that kind of comment.
So you're not canceling them?
No, I'm not. I'm like, well, and they're done. You'll never work
You're
a day in
done.
this city again. You're done here, kid. But I think for me, when it comes to my journey of like where I am now, of just like self-acceptance, right? Like just accepting myself in all ways that I could be in the future, and the way I am now and the way I've been in the past, like past, present, future, I love myself fully and intentionally. And I think a lot of people will never accept the fact of like love and wellness at every size. You know what I mean? And I think for some people, it is brave to have to exist at a bigger size. And yeah, like we would be lying if we said there isn't any, you know, prejudice or like second class treatment that can come sometimes with being bigger, right? But I do think that one of the way that I was able to like step into the place of like to go from hating myself to just having an outlook of loving myself was seeing people like me, right? Unapologetically being themselves online. People who are just like, yeah, and I'm wearing shorts today and I have cellulite. I don't know. Like, I don't know what else you guys want to hear from. Like,
Not fucking brave. I'm existing.
I'm
boy.
existing. Yeah, exactly. And just seeing people unapologetically existing as themselves who, like, in the past, it always had to be some sort of like statement. Wow, look, like,
We just had was it Dana Patterson? Was that her name?
Oh yeah, yeah.
So she was a plus size model who came on, and she was talking about how when we post photos, like when even like smaller bodies, and they're like bending forward saying rolls are normal or my cellulite's normal. Everyone has stretch marks, and
Like
you're
comparing.
you're almost like you're excusing the fact that you have all these, you know, normal things. So we were like, so what do we do if we maybe want to show like a candid photo? She was like, you don't say anything about it.
Yeah.
You
You
just
just
post
show.
the photo and you exist. And I was like,
Yes.
and we both were like, oh, wow. Like we learned a lot
Shit.
from that. So I feel like that's kind of what you're saying. It's
Yeah.
like, you don't need a long, lengthy caption to explain why you have a stretch mark on your leg.
no, you just get it exists. And I think, I love her too, by the
Yeah.
way. I'm
She's
like,
so
amazing.
cool.
We like
that's my queen.
it was her
Love
birthday the
her.
other day, and I'm like, happy 30th. We just love her.
I just adore her. And yeah, I think even adding on to that is she's so right. Like just existing and also coming from a place of like, body positivity, like positive body. I'm like, what? Like, why don't we just like
Yeah.
accept, right?
Do you think brands are getting this now? Because now you're working with brands, right? And you're
Yeah.
doing these things like brand deals and all that. Do you think the brands are understanding of this too?
I think some brands are, and I think some brands aren't. There's brands that I've worked with, and it is actually their goal and initiative to just be more inclusive for the sake of inclusivity, right? Like if I were to walk into a store, like my size is available.
Mhm.
And then there's brands who are like, we only carry an extra large. I think you guys can still fit this. So
Oh.
like we'll hire you to like, you know, like, hey, would you want to post content and like this, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's still some brands who are more than capable to going up to at least a 3x. Like they have all the budget, all the support, the demographics there, and they still are like, no, but we have like a lot of oversized or like tight, stretchy clothing that like you would be able to like fit in, and you could like show that to your audience.
So will
They
you
say
work
that?
with? So will you work with us? And then people will think oh my gosh.
Yeah.
They say this to you. They're like,
It's not, it's almost just
Or-
kind of like an implication
Yeah.
of the
Oh,
sense of like,
it's even worse. I feel like
it's
like-
way worse, because there's definitely been times when I've like been on set too. I had like a really horrendous experience.
Tell us about it.
Yeah. I had to like, I was on set last year doing a campaign, and I literally like archived it.
Oh
off.
God.
Yeah. And it was just like a very not good experience.
What happened?
Because pretty much what ended up happening was, it was like with this company, which I was like on the fence. I was like, do I want to do this? But I was like, honestly, I do think it could be a really cool opportunity. And I was like, one thing about this company that I do know is they have the sizes, right? Like they're one of the companies
Yeah.
who offer plus sizes. So I was like, great, I think it'll be really cool. Get on set. First, right off the bat, the stylist, fat phobic, like making really crazy comments. And the thing is, when I'm not like signed to an agency, right? So if a brand books me, especially if it's for a campaign, typically it's because they want like me. So they're going to cater around what my body is, what my body needs, and my sizes. Like we send those out right off the bat. He's fat phobic. I wear like an 18-20, and he pulled 14-16.
And he knew your sizes.
He
coming
knew
in.
my sizes going in. And so I'm like,
Sir?
yeah,
What happened?
Yeah, so
here?
I'm like, hello. So obviously, like the jeans, the shirts were like large because like 14, 16. And so I'm like, okay, these aren't gonna fit. Like I need at least like an extra large or like a 2XL. He was like, okay, well, if anything that doesn't fit, just like don't even try and put it on. He was like, yeah, this is not gonna fit. This is not gonna fit you. This isn't gonna fit you. He was like, try all of these. They're pretty stretchy. Like they should fit. Literally saying all of this to me. And I'm like, shook, because I've never had this experience on set. And I've worked with so many different like brands, even just like modeling or whatever. And I'm like, holy, this is crazy. So I'm just like, okay, benefit of the doubt, like maybe.
How do you not say anything?
I'd flip. I feel
Were you
like.
just breathing in your
Yeah, so I'm like breathing in, and I'm like trying not to have like a full blown panic attack in the dressing room. And so he's also putting me in clothes I would never wear in a million years. And I'm like, this is not, what are you doing? So we're trying on outfits. He put me on this outfit. It's not cute. It's literally ugly. It looks like something a grandma would wear. Like it's just so like it looks like it's from, I don't know. I'm like, this is what is happening.
Okay.
Not for me.
Not for me. And he's like, okay, you need to suck in because if you've
going
ever
on?
been on set and they like put you in an outfit, they have to like send pictures to who, like, you know, the corporate so they can approve them for the photo shoot. And so he's like, okay, you need to suck in so we can like send these pictures in. He's like, suck while he's like taking the photo. And I'm literally like,
Wait, you asked me to be here. I'm confused.
you literally asked me to be here. And he was like, no, suck in. And so I'm
You're like,
literally
I'll suck a punch you.
and I was like, are you like in my mind, I was like, are you fucking serious? Like you've got to be kidding me. So I'm like, try not to cry challenge, impossible edition. Like I was just like, what is happening? And then he was like, okay, So I think they're gonna honestly want to go with this outfit. Can you just bring shapewear and honestly bring like 2 shapewears to put like on top of each other? And I'm like, oh.
Is anyone else hearing this?
Yeah, I was just like, oh my God, like, no. Like, and no. Like, this is crazy.
I'm like, what the fuck is
Yeah,
going on?
and the next day, we're supposed to be shooting. So at this point, I'm like,
Not coming back.
oh, I was like, I'm not coming back. And I like had my manager like reach out to them. It was just like, hey.
Hope
like,
he got fired.
I hope to God he did.
I was just like, this is what's going down. I'm not wearing the outfit. If you guys don't change these outfits, like, I'm literally not coming back. And like, this is a horrible experience. And then they were like, oh my gosh, like, we're actually like none of those outfits we even liked. We actually have a plan for like this one, which is like completely different, still ugly, but whatever. And so I like get on set. The outfit is ugly, but it wasn't.
You know your style.
Yeah,
You're
like, I'm
oh.
like, and he wasn't even on set that day. It was like his assistant, and so I don't know what the tea was there.
He needed an assistant, a little help to pick out these ugly outfits. Apparently,
1,000. And so we're like on set. I just got through it. And I mean, the good thing is I did get paid well. Bad thing is horrible, terrible experience, not even worth any of that. But I think that's just like the reality. You know what I mean? Of that experience of people still being like, oh my gosh, like he's the kind of like when I imagine someone who's like, I love your confidence. It's that.
and we're in 2023, and it's like, and we're moving so far forward, and yet this is still here.
Thank
It's like-
you.
it's a
for
hor-
Thank you for sharing that.
Oh my
because
gosh.
you probably had to relive it in
I
your
know,
head.
I'm
as you're-
sorry that-
but
No.
I will say that was I am apologizing. I'm shocked, but
That's disgusting.
goodness.
Truly, like it really is
Oh
horrible brand experience.
Yeah.
like
Well,
through and
and
through.
also I was like sharing it and I was like, wow, this is my first time like saying anything about it because they're such a big company. Like obviously if I were to say anything, they would just be like, okay. And like realistically, just because they're so ginormous and whatever, but
well, we didn't drop names.
We didn't,
Yeah,
do-
we
we
didn't
didn't say
drop
anything.
names.
Speaking of horrible, well, that's positive. I'm like horrible experience. You have a horrible roommate experience, don't you?
I had
Thank God,
a lot
past tense.
of our listeners are in college and
Oh
are probably
my gosh.
waiting for this part of the episode too. Dealing with horrible roommates.
I got you.
Let me hear you. Let's hear your story first.
Well, I'm like, how
And thank God it's a past tense because I was like, oh my God.
Oh,
I thought it was a have. It's a had.
heavy on the had. Heavy on the had.
Heavy.
So originally I moved in with one of my best friends from middle school. Love her. Shout out to my queen, Emily.
Emily.
We love you, girl. And then one of my old college roommates, the college roommate ended up moving to San Diego. And since it was a last minute thing, she was like finding people off Facebook. I was kind of peeved about it because I'm like, girl, we can't just be living with Joe Schmo from Facebook.
Yeah.
Like, we need to be living with like Slade little cutesy girly pop from
A girly papa.
like girly pop that someone knew from Instagram. I don't
With
know.
what's the name of the oh shit. the girl we were talking about before we started recording that you guys went to when you were little?
Libby
Libby
Lou.
Lou.
You
Libby
needed,
Lou
you
girly.
needed to be living with a Libby Lou girl.
I needed to be living with someone who knew what Libby Lou was.
Libby Lou. Okay.
We needed a Libby Lou mama. So
I butchered that, but I had to say it.
yeah, and that's
fine.
on Libby Lou. But pretty much, you know, this new girl, we were getting like 500 people like wanting to like move in. And obviously not going to talk to 500 people,
Yeah.
but I talked to like 90. Like I talked to so many
Shit,
people
that's a lot.
but because she wasn't filtering them out. So I'm like, I don't know who these people are. So finally we meet the like most chillish, like the chill-ish person that we were like, okay, like I think this could work. Let's go for it. She moves in. First red flag because
Oh,
she
God.
literally duped us. She literally duped.
We got a duper.
We literally got a dupe, like a roommate dupe. Because so she tells us about how she broke up with her boyfriend. After 4 years, she literally thought they were going to get married. And she's closer to her 30s. She was like 29, like about to turn 30. So I could only imagine, you know, if you're with someone for 4 years, you're about to turn 30, like you thought you were going to get married.
Yeah.
Heartbreaking. I have mercy for that. They broke up a year ago. So I'm just like, okay, time heals some wounds. And so she moves in and she's like, yeah, I just love this neighborhood and all this stuff. And I just love it so much. And her mom lives kind of like in Larchmont area. So she grew up like in LA and her grandpa lives in Beverly Hills. So like, she be around. She's like from here. And she's like, I just love this part of town though. Like it's so incredible and all this stuff. And so she starts going on these really long walks. Like every day when she come home from work, she's going on like these long, crazy walks and would always be outside of our house because we have like this little front yard area and she's always like playing with her dog out front, but like for hours.
Okay,
Like,
so far normal, but still curious.
but
okay.
like, yeah, I was kind of just like, okay, damn, maybe she really likes outside. One day, she
God.
like comes rushing into the house and she's like, oh my gosh, guess like my ex has a new girl. My ex has a new girl. And I'm like,
No, come on.
yeah, I'm like, what? Like, what? How
Wait,
would you?
I already know.
I know. I'm like,
Yeah, I'm
oh.
like, oh my gosh, like, how do you know that? And she was like, well, I don't like. Yeah, he like reached out, or I like told. She was like, he told me to like stop talking to him, and he blocked my number, but I still had his email, so I was emailing him, and he told me he's talking to someone else. And then she was walking her dog and she saw him down the street. And I was like, oh my gosh, he lives like down the street from us. Like he lives in our neighborhood. And she's like, oh yeah, he lives on blank like this street, which is literally just like 2 blocks over from us. So I'm like, oh my God, you were looking in this area because your ex lives here.
That's why you love being outdoors.
That's why you love being outdoors and going on your walks, your little walkie talks.
Walks or climbing trees and peering in windows.
We got a peeping Tom. We got a peeping Tom.
We literally got a peeping Tammy, like a peeping Tammy. We got a peeping Tammy. And so I'm like, okay, well, scary. Like, like she's scary. So yeah, so that was the start of her demise when she found out there was another female involved, because then she would just like open my door. Like I would be like in my room and she'd just open my door.
Oh, no.
And be like, oh
We
my
all
God.
know the sign. The door is closed.
Yes.
Your roommate wants alone time.
I was like, this is asinine. Open my door and be like, oh my gosh, Dawn, we have to talk. Like something happened, like blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like the house burned down, like blah, blah, blah. She's like, oh my gosh, no. So actually he reached out to me again, and it's just because his childhood dog died. So his childhood dog passed away, and it was like a thing in our house. She sent flowers. She cooked his family meals. And that's the other thing too. She was like, it's so unfair that he broke up with me because I'm still so close with his family, and his
Oh, good
grandma
Lord.
is 90, and she probably doesn't even understand that he broke up with me, and she's probably wondering where I am, and now their childhood dog like is gone, so I have to be there for them. And I'm like,
Oh my Lord.
And
Talk
I'm-
about exhausting.
yes,
I'd be exhausted.
every day. And I was in my people pleaser era, so I was like hearing her out for like 2 hours every day until I literally cracked. Like
Yeah.
I cracked.
What happened when you cracked?
Well, there's one more thing that happened.
Oh,
Yeah, we gotta hear it all.
So her ex officially made that girl he was talking to his girlfriend.
okay.
I come home and I'm like in a rush. I'm like, I gotta get out, gotta go, hit the town. I get out of my Uber. She's sprawled out on our front, like she's literally sprawled out on the sidewalk. What the fuck?
Were neighbors around with binoculars? Like, oh God, what is going on?
I'm also just like, someone's gonna call 911
Yeah,
and think
so-
you literally passed out. So she's literally like this, like sprawled out, and her phone's on her chest, and she's sobbing, like dry heaving, sobbing. And I was like, oh, but I also was like, I don't know what to do.
At this point.
And I'm also in a rush. Like, I do not have time for a 3-hour conversation. So I sound like an asshole, but I kind of stepped over her to like get into the house.
You also have already talked to her every day for 3 hours.
Thank
so,
you. Yeah. So I like run. Like, I'm like, I don't have time for this. So I like run into the house, and she like runs after me, and I was like terrified. She's like chasing me up the stairs. And she's like, he has a new girlfriend. I was like, what? And she's like, he has a new girlfriend, and she's younger than me. Pulls up a picture of her from like her company website.
Oh gosh.
And just like, tell me I'm prettier than her. I was like, oh my God, this bitch is crazy. And I was like, yes, girl. Oh my God, like you're so much more slay. Like, get out of my face. Like, I gotta go. And I was like, oh yeah, like loves, like sorrows, prayers, like gotta go. That she
lost it?
snapped after that. She then all of this sudden decides we rent, but our landlord's like pretty chill. Like if we want to do a little DIY, she's down to clown. And so she's like, I want to paint the bathroom green. Obviously not an approved color. Our bathroom's like a very Slade vintage bathroom with pink tile. So it's giving, if you F up anything in that bathroom, it's one of one. So
don't
touch
her.
Don't. I leave for a trip, come back, my bathroom's green. The bathtub's filled with green paint and tomfoolery. I'm like, you need to change this. She starts like putting holes into stuff. She tries to paint her bedroom. It was just getting out of control. So I'm just like, hey girl, our lease is coming to an end in a couple months. This hasn't been a good fit.
Get the fuck out.
Yeah. And I just think like, just trying to be like cordial because I'm like, she's crazy. Like, I don't know. So I was just like, hey, like, I think when our lease ends, like you should look for other options. Yeah. That's how I worded that. Loses it.
Oh God.
Like loses it, uncontrollably sobbing, cannot help her, blah, 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 blah. Then she goes, I have cancer. And I'm like, guys, I'm so serious. I'm so dead serious. Because before I was like, yeah, like I don't think it's a good fit. You need to move out. She was like, you're gonna feel so guilty. You're gonna feel so sorry when I tell you what I've been going through. And I'm like, what? Like, what are you talking about? And she had this ginormous dog bed in our living room. It was literally as big as that sofa in the corner. It was ginormous. Yes, it was ginormous. And she would lay in it. And so we're having this like conversation with her. She's like in the dog bed. I'm like, what is happening?
Going on?
Yeah. And
in the dog bed.
And I'm like, oh Lord Jesus, help us. She's like, I have cancer. And so immediately I'm like, oh my gosh, like
Did you think she was lying right away or no? Because it came up right then.
Yeah, like part of me was like, I feel like maybe if you had cancer, like you would talk to us sooner. I like thought, since we live with you, like that's something we would want to know.
Might have told us.
Yeah. And she's like, well, I have cancer. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like we're like, we were like shook. We were just like, I'm like, I hope, everything's okay. And I was like, even more so, I think you would want to be around like a support system, something, She's like, no, like, I can't. I have nowhere to go to, which is literally not true. Like her
grandpa, her mom, her neighbors,
and they're both homeowners in Los Angeles. Like you got a support system, and so I'm just like, hey, like I still think though it's not a good fit, and I'm really sorry to hear about that, and like we want to be here for you, but at the same time, like for the sake of like us and like what our needs are, blah blah blah. So we don't see her for like the next 2 months. Like it was like Christmas, didn't see her. And then a week before our lease is about to end and we go month to month, she's like, I found a place.
Okay.
We had just been contacting her being like, hey, what's happening? What's happening? It's like, I found a place. I'm moving out.
Good. Okay, good.
She's like, what about my security deposit? I'm like, you've lost your mind. I'm not paying you a dime.
The bathroom.
Yeah, like you literally destroyed my bathroom. I've had to redo our whole space area, everything. Get the fuck out. She leaves her room trashed.
Oh gosh.
It's literally trashed. And I talked to her and I'm like, hey, like what is happening with you? Like what is going on? You can't leave your room like this. You have a day. And my roommate's like, are you even okay? Like we haven't heard from you. The last time we spoke to you, you said you had cancer. And she was like, I'm fine. She was like, I literally got surgery and it's gone. She said she was going to need chemo and all this stuff. She's like, I literally got surgery and I'm fine. And I was like,
so you maybe didn't have it.
Do you still know if that was true?
Well, so my roommate called back. There was this time when she went on a date with this guy and she said, she's having problems down there. And she was like, I went to the doctor and they said I have herpes. But she's like, the good thing is it's curable herpes. Like I have a very rare strain of curable herpes. And so we laughed about it because we were just like, not laughing about her having herpes or not having herpes. Like, I don't know what the tea was about her being like, it's curable. Cause I'm like, it's not.
No, I know it's literally just not curable, which is horrible. But I'm just confused.
So my roommate, so she moves out, she trashed the room, she like all these damages. We have to like get things fixed. It's like insane. And my roommate was like, well, what do you ever think happened with like the cancer? Like, do you ever think she had it? And I was like, girl, I just don't know. And she's like, well, remember the time she said she had curable herpes?
That wasn't true.
And I was just like, oh my gosh, she kind of like low-key lied about that. And I was like, that was only a month ago when you said, you know, like, or 2 months ago when you said you had cancer and now you didn't have to go through chemo, anything. I don't think she actually had cancer.
The curable herpes throws me. Wow, that's a situation.
I don't even know what's
I'm
happening.
like, sorry, I had to give you the full.
I was fully invested in that.
I'm not going to lie. I think there's people out there that are going to say that I had a similar situation because I know of people who have told me, oh yeah, no, my roommate said that, like their like a sibling died.
Yeah.
And like that wasn't true.
No.
Like literally crazy shit.
Yeah.
Like,
and so I'm like, I had to share that because I if there was a show to go on to be like, I had an insane roommate,
that would be it.
I would pitch myself to go on the show because that was the most insane situation.
We can
ever.
reenact it. Like
Oh.
we
Oh, that'd be
could
kinda fun.
create like and I could be the roommate.
oh damn it, I wanted to lay on the dog bed.
You actually, yeah, I think that'd be you. The dog with the dog bed. People definitely have these situations.
yeah, they
we have a
did.
few other examples for you.
We have a few roommate examples, and we were trying to decide with Carrie what we should call it, and we're thinking quirk or concern.
Quirk.
So
or
it could just be a little
cunts.
quirky, or it could be a little bit concerning, and you don't want to room with this person anymore.
It starts quirky and then it becomes concerning.
right.
So we're gonna read these, and you're gonna just say quirk or concern. You're
So
gonna
let's
make your
let's pick like 5 total. So
Yeah.
pick your fave, and then we'll go.
Okay.
And we're almost done. But okay,
Period.
these are listeners that wrote in about their roommates.
Why don't you start?
Okay. My roommate leaves porn playing on his computer even when he's not home. His computer is on the kitchen counter. Quirk or concern?
Heavy concern.
I found a used tampon in my shampoo bottle. Act of hatred or accident?
Concern. Why would you even take that out in the shower?
Okay. I have a roommate who uses one bowl and spoon for all of her food and meals. She puts the crusty bowl and spoon in the corner and just refills it when she needs her next meal. She hasn't washed it since I've been rooming with her. It's been 3 months. Quirk or concern?
Heavy concern. But also I realize some people are just dead ass so nasty.
Oh yeah.
And so it's like quirked up concern. You know
Right,
what I mean? Like
right.
it's a quirky concern.
I still got to read like 2 more. I'm not gonna
Yeah,
lie.
no, these are fast.
These
We-
are literally listener
we can
write-ins,
read- we
by the
can
way.
read them all.
Leaves wet laundry in our closet to the point her clothes are molding and my clothes reek.
Oh, hell no. Concern.
Constantly hovering, texting me, "Where are you?" and acting like a controlling boyfriend whenever I try to do anything that she isn't invited to. She told me it makes me a bad friend. Quirk or concern?
Like concern pink. Quirk,
Ooh.
like quirked up. Though.
Yeah,
Like
for
she's
sure.
quirked up, but she's like pink flag, you know?
Ooh, okay.
Okay, love.
Okay, last one. Share a room, and my roommate constantly brings home men and has sex with them while they think I'm asleep next to them in my bed.
Oh, fuck. It's quirked, but it's concerning.
It's
Like,
concerning for sure.
It's concerning for sure, but that's also like some quirked up attitude type.
It's giving
beat.
concern.
Yeah.
Mm.
Hell no.
Hell no.
It's-
Okay.
yeah.
Well, thanks for your input there.
Get out when you need to get out.
Seriously.
Get out when you need to get out. And
Yeah.
also to the last person, get your bag up. Like if you're trying to
Right.
like, you know, like have men in your castle, queen, get your bag up.
Seriously.
Get your bag up.
Love.
Do you want to explain our final little
Yeah.
piece that we read?
Well, I do want to, if you do have a roommate that's a bad roommate.
Oh, yeah.
What do you recommend they do? Like,
On
what
a-
did you brought up you were communicative with her
and stern, I feel like.
I feel like my first mistake was not being like right off the bat. If something's bothering you, once again, like to the topic of it's already uncomfortable, right? Like it's bothering you, just say something. Don't like think too much about like their feelings. Don't make it like such a personal thing. Just be like, hey, you know, notice this. Not a fan of it.
Mhm.
Can we instead do this? And then from there, that's how you can like go about it. But I realize like a
Yes.
lot of people will be like complain, but they didn't know.
And they never tell the person. It's
Exactly.
like, dude, you got to say something.
Exactly. So it's like you can't really like come out with like, you know, ways to fix the problem if you didn't even bring it up. So,
So
There's
fair.
even like when I was in college, we had like it was almost like a roommate contract, but we had like 4 girls. So it was
Yeah.
like, who's cleaning what week? And we just knew, like, I honestly don't disagree with roommate contracts if it's like
No, I
somewhat
think it's
done.
great.
Yeah.
I will say I did have to move out early because of a roommate situation
Yeah.
because I had a roommate that literally made me feel unsafe with her boyfriend. So I moved out early.
Yeah.
Turns out she was selling drugs out of my house. So
Yeah.
I literally, my mom called me and she's like, get out now, and I was in Arizona actually.
Oh my gosh.
And I was like, okay. And I changed the locks on my door first.
Yeah.
I was staying at a friend's, moved all my stuff out, and I left early because there was nothing I could do. I got threatened. It was like, it was so dark. And I was like, and trust me, I set my boundaries, but sometimes you just have to get out. You got to bite the freaking bullet and get out.
No, and that's giving quirker concern. Like quirker concern.
I'm still concerned. Okay.
Our last thing we're going to do today is share
You're
our
so fun.
listeners' straight canon moment. So a listener writes in about their most embarrassing, vulnerable moment. So Sid, this is the one you found. So you take it away.
Okay. So yeah.
Wait, is this another butthole one?
Yeah, there's
Sid
a lot
found
of
so many butthole ones.
There's a lot of people writing in about buttholes. We kind of consolidated all of them because we were like, we're coming on a big trip out here.
Yeah.
There was a lot of butthole ones,
Well,
but they're
maybe
funny.
we also just like the butthole ones. Like
Maybe
we're
we
a little biased.
There's something about a butthole.
There's something about a
Yeah.
butthole. Okay. You guys are going to die as this involves one of your past guests, Vanessa and Xander, who were a sex therapist and a husband.
Wait, obsessed.
sex therapist couple, sex
Yes.
therapist and a husband.
Well, that's what their thing is. Yeah.
Okay.
I'll call this curious butt mistake. Let me explain why. I have been curious of butt stuff for years now. And after that episode, I took it upon myself to download a few of their PDF documents about sex and how to have the conversation about butt play. I was so excited I downloaded it after the episode, and I hate to admit this, but I downloaded it to my work computer. I know what you're thinking. Why would I do that? Not everyone has 3 laptops to sneak around with, okay? Anyway, the document is password protected. I went about my workday and my boss asked me to send a PowerPoint I reviewed for her. And yes, I attached and sent a file called butt play. I wish to God I was
Dom's
kidding.
face.
I was mortified. I immediately tried to revoke the email with no luck. I walk over to my boss's office immediately and knock, mortified, red in the face. I told her that I had an email that came through my cover. I had a colonoscopy coming up, and that was my prep they sent me that I accidentally attached.
Oh, that's what she said to her boss?
Yep.
That it was a colonoscopy prep, even though it
Yep.
said butt play on it?
Yep. Did she buy it? I have no idea. I took a day off to get my colonoscopy, in quotes. Had to follow through with this little lie I had. I still have my job, but I guarantee she didn't believe me. My boss knows I love butt stuff. Cheers.
Could the boss not open it?
It's password protected.
Oh, so there's just like the...
It is actually the way I would have 007 smoke bombed the whole, pulled the fire alarm,
Wait, yeah.
like smoke bomb that
And
joint.
then deleted
and
it.
deleted.
No, go in there with a big cup of water. Oh, shoot. Right on your laptop.
Oh my God. No, because no.
They could get into another computer.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, because it's
You had the
on
best
the
idea.
email. You have to delete the actual
The
email.
actual email.
Everyone got to get out of the building.
I would
I have to
literally
stay.
pull the fire alarm and be like, oh my
Yeah.
gosh. Like
Reading this the first time, I got 2 inches taller because my butt cheeks clenched together so
No.
hard that I literally...
This was Dom's face. He was going...
I literally couldn't even. When I watch TV and something like really like happens, I have to like pause the TV
Yeah.
because I can't continue on, and I wanted to like pause the story. Like I was like, don't tell me more.
Give me a second to prep.
Now that you know what a straight candid moment is, this is putting you on the spot. Do you have, we like share about like shitting our pants a lot. We share about anything that makes
Apparently
us more
buttholes, but
human.
Yeah,
Any stories, mental health, sex, an embarrassing moment. You have one right off the bat. You do.
I do. Okay.
Oh, God. Concern.
Get candid, girl.
Well, it's about to get concerning.
Concern or quirk?
It's concern or quirk. I'm trying to. There's like a couple that come to mind that I'm like trying to think.
You had one right away. Now you're
I know.
second guessing
No,
it.
I'm just trying to think. Like,
She's like, I'm doing it. I'm gonna have to.
Well, this is about.
This is your final hoorah.
Okay,
so
fine.
you speak it to the truth.
Only like 80% of people
No,
make
I'm
it to the
literally.
end.
I'm very YOLO. Like
Yeah.
one thing about me is if I go on a podcast, I'm gonna be.
Oh,
YOLO.
I like you.
I'm
I
gonna
like
be
it.
YOLO. Here's the thing. So I have had like the same guy that I hook up with. Like we just have been hooking up for like.
Friends with Benny.
Yeah, we've been friends with Benny for like 6 months now. Like that's my slat. Love him.
Yeah.
Great guy. And one day,
Oh God.
She can't.
so like he has an accent because he's like not from America.
Okay.
And so yeah, he has just like a really strong Russian accent. So
Oh.
like sometimes
Hot.
I feel like very hot. But I'm like sometimes I feel like he doesn't understand me.
Mhm.
And sometimes I don't fully understand him.
That's cute.
It's cute until
is
well, so we're like when we talk about like when we have sex, it's really funny because like we're just like, oh yeah, I think I've always wanted to try that. Like let's try that. Like it's very like bro conversation,
Love.
and then we just like have sex. It's great. So one day we were like talking. Like I can't like I have to keep talking about myself. When we were like talking and he was just like, oh, like, have you ever, butt stuff, hey. And he's like, hey, like, have you ever, like, done butt stuff before? And I'm like, no, like, I just don't, like, really think it's my thing. Like, I don't know, all this stuff. And he was like, oh, yeah, like, you should, he's like, you should, like, try it sometime. Like, it's really not that bad.
Says
And-
him.
Yeah,
I
like,
know,
says
I'm
him.
like-
Yeah. And I was just like, he was like, no, it's, like, cool. And yeah. And I was like, oh, okay, like, swag. Because he's bi. So he's, like,
Yeah.
done
Oh,
it.
I
Like,
love.
yeah.
So he has done
he'd
it.
be doing it
Okay.
all.
Yeah.
And so he's like, I've like, you know, it's great. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. And so I said something along the lines of like, oh yeah, maybe I'll have to like try it one day.
Mm.
And I think he thought I was saying like,
Now.
yeah, like we should try it like right now. Like maybe I
One
have
day
to
would
try
be
it.
today.
Yeah, like I
Yeah.
can't even remember exactly like how I said it, but it was something like those vibes. And so he's
We've all been there, girl.
Yeah, it's like, you know, he's back there. And all of a sudden,
Mm-hmm.
I just feel a tongue on my asshole.
No, you don't. No, you don't.
A tongue. I was not expecting a tongue.
I'm levitating.
No, and I'm like, oh, like candid concern. And I literally go, you're like, no, literally, I'm like, literally, like, who goes there? Like, who is in my back door?
Someone's knocking. They just invited themselves in.
Yes.
You're not allowed.
And
Use it all now.
we just start laughing so hard.
See, though, that's how it should be. You
cute.
should
It was
laugh it off.
Yeah, it was very like, haha, like cute, funny, like, bitch, what the fuck are you doing?
That's candid.
Yeah, that was candid AF. And he was just like, wait, like we were like laughing. And he was like, I thought you meant like you wanted to. And I was like, girl,
Later.
no, like
Why
no.
do I feel like every single girl has been in this situation where the guy mistakenly thought that it was the time to
This
do
one's
it?
an actual.
This one's actual. It's only because he's so not.
There's a bit of a language barrier,
Yeah. Yes.
like in
Yeah.
interpretation. So,
Mhm.
in
Well-
which happens. Well,
Haven't you had it? Well, all of a sudden, oops, wrong hole. I'm like, bitch, that literally killed me.
yeah.
I died.
No,
no,
literally,
gracias,
was
no.
like gone.
Yeah.
gone, deceased, concerned.
Yeah, we were like laughing so hard because he was like, "Oh my gosh!" Like he was so embarrassed. Like he was like, "I thought like that's what you want." Like
No.
and I was just like, "Oh my god!" Like no, like
Thank you
Did you
for
enjoy
being candid with us
Hold
with
up.
that.
Did
What?
you enjoy it though? A little?
It just like tickled. Like
Yeah.
it was like a little tickle, and I was like,
Well, maybe one day.
maybe. Well, and hey, you never know.
Thank you.
That would be Dom's hashtag straight candid moment right there for
Very
you. Oh
candid.
my god, you are truly freaking amazing. Like
my
literally,
goodness.
we had real, we had fun, we had crazy, we had concern,
We had
a quirk,
everything.
we had all the
Yeah.
things. You are phenomenal. Where can people find you? Tell people.
I'm like, you guys
Tell
can-
the people.
You guys can find me online on Instagram. I'm like at Dom Roberts instead of an E, it's an X. I'm on TikTok, shit posting at Dom Not a Teen Mom. And I also have my own clothing brand called The Uncomfortable. You could check it out and learn more at the uncomfortable on Instagram, and it's 3 underscores.
I'm gonna need to
And-
buy some stuff. I saw some of the
Yes.
tees and the hoodies, so I'm like,
I'm
I'm gonna
like,
have to go
yeah.
shop till I
And
drop.
you have a podcast now, correct?
Yeah.
The Uncomfortable Podcast.
So I'm like, check it out.
love that.
It's up. It's there.
We
You're
love
so
you.
fun. I really enjoyed this conversation.
Oh my
This
gosh,
was-
this
was
is
great.
so
Awesome.
fun.
Thank
The
you.
perfect mix of all the things.
Yeah.
Like you truly are
I
amazing.
bared my soul. Like
I
we're family now.
we knew
are.
when you walked into
I'm
the
like,
energy is just
yeah.
like, oh,
so many first stories.
I know.
Yay! Thanks for sharing on our podcast.
I'm like, oh my gosh, no, because I love a story time.
Oh, we do too. Follow us at Straight Candid Podcast as usual. We love you guys. From the LA office of Two Hot Takes, my friends, I'm at Candid Sid.
I'm at Candid Soph.
And this
And
is
see you
Straight
next
Candid.
week.
Bye-bye.
Oh, so fun.
So good.
I feel like time stopped. I wonder how long that was.
Oh, yeah, I'm like
Morgan
literally
texted me
cut
at 45 and I was like,
what
oh
was-
shit.